Welcome, everyone, to an extraordinary episode of our podcast, where we embark on a captivating journey through the life and experiences of a multifaceted individual who has seamlessly woven the threads of creativity, entrepreneurship, and inspiration into a rich tapestry of success. Get ready to be inspired as we dive into the remarkable story of someone who transformed their life, turning adversity into creativity and breaking free from the corporate world to chase their dreams. Join us as we uncover the unique insights and vibrant experiences of our special guest and learn how they have evolved into the inspiring individual that they are today. This is a podcast episode that you don't want to miss. So let's get started. Good evening, ma'am. I want to extend a warm welcome to my podcast. I've always been a huge fan of your work and your unwavering enthusiasm. When I conceived the idea of this podcast featuring individuals who have achieved their unconventional dreams, the first name that popped up into my mind was Anupama Dalmia. You are a true source of inspiration for our upcoming generation. You wear many hats. You're an author, an entrepreneur, a blogger, and also an influencer, which is a remarkable achievement. However, I'm sure that these many paths of pursuing these dreams were far from straightforward and came with a fair amount of uncertainties. Nevertheless, you pursued your passions. So, without any further ado, let's dive right in. So, let me start with
Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's fine. So, let me start with a very basic question. What inspired you to choose this unique path of becoming an entrepreneur and an author?
This is a very interesting question because honestly, in my case, I was always that person since childhood. My mom, in fact, even today, she tells me that you were always somebody who wanted to take initiative, who wanted to do something of her own. And even writing was something I have been doing since childhood. So it wasn't really that one moment, really. It's just that those interests were always there. But our times were different. There wasn't much scope in a lot of professions. So all of these qualities like writing skills or entrepreneurship or all of that was considered to be more of an additional thing. And it was always like you have to become an engineer or a doctor. So I also sort of took that path initially. I did computer engineering. I did my MBA in systems and finance. I got a job at Infosys through campus placements, all of that, which anybody would do to pursue their dreams. But over time, I realized that this was not who I am in essence. So I was enjoying my work at Infosys, not that I wasn't also performing very well. But you know, feeling that this is not me, this is not inherently what drives me. So that is when I had that brainwave one day, and I just felt that if not now, then when? So yeah, that was when I decided that I want to pursue all my passions as a professional career, and the journey began. And I won't say that I immediately became an author or became an entrepreneur. It's always a journey. Things happen one after the other. So that's how it was in my case, actually.
Yes, ma'am. Like what you said is absolutely true. Like in back in those days, it was either engineering or medical sector, and these kind of things were where like people were very hesitant to do these things. So yeah,
Right.
so after you. So now that you have told me about the path, what difficulties did you encounter when deciding to pursue these careers, and what did you do to overcome those difficulties and obstacles?
So in my case, there were multiple obstacles, honestly. See, whenever you choose a unconventional path, it is always going to be challenging. For me personally, the biggest challenge was the mindset of people. Because I remember when I resigned and when I decided that, okay, I have to pursue something else, most of the people felt that it was a foolish decision. And, what are you doing? You have such a wonderful job and you're leaving it for what? So the mindset, that the people in general around, especially at that time, see, today still, over the years, things have changed with respect to how society perceives these things. But I'm talking about a decade ago. So at that point, it was even a big deal, like, what are you doing? So I think that was my biggest challenge about tackling that mindset, because that can tend to put you down, weigh you down. Though personally, I was a
Yeah.
person who didn't pay much heed to all that, because if I would have, I don't think I would have charted this path. But then, even then, when you hear so much, it does bog you down. So that was, yeah, the first challenge. And I think I just overcame that by focusing on the positives. I decided that, look, even if there are a handful of people who are going to support you, it's okay. You just focus on them, focus on the positive, focus on the good vibes that you're getting, and let others say whatever they want to, because ultimately I'm not answerable to any of them. So that's how I kind of, then went about things. The second challenge I faced was that, see, what happens is, like, for you all, for example,
Yeah.
you have people to guide, you have role models. Like, for example, today you invited me to share my journey, but when
Yes.
I did this, we didn't have a lot of such role models around us, that people who did the same thing. So I think for me, that was another challenge, that I did not have anything to, like, sort of, so to look at that, okay, this is probably how it should be done. So it was like I figured out everything myself in my career journey. I have to say this, that especially the initial years was so much of trial and error, to and fro, because there wasn't really anybody to guide me on that path. So the only way to tackle that challenge was to really go out there, work hard, and spend a lot of time researching, understanding, trying out things. And I was very open to failing also. Like, I was like, see, I don't really have somebody's journey to, kind of take ideas
Yeah.
from. So it's okay, I was very much prepared to just go out there and try, and whatever works, great. What doesn't, I was like, that will always anyway be a learning. So yeah, that's how I, went about with the challenges of the initial years.
That was great. That was great. I guess like your example would be a perfect example saying for this upcoming generation or any generation to be frank. It's a perfect example for people to follow their dreams and passion no matter what age or what stage in their
True.
at their career they are. Like even at the if they are like in a very balanced life, like a very good position in any corporate or a medical sector, they can still follow their dreams if they have passion for it.
Absolutely, absolutely, that is true. And I always say this, that I found, when a lot of people come and tell me, as a part of my work, I interact with a lot of parents, and they tell me that, Array, my child is in 12th and has still not figured out what the child wants to
Yeah.
do. I said, listen, I figured out after I was 30. So it's okay. I think we should keep exploring all facets within ourselves all the time. There is never an end goal, actually, to be very honest.
That's very true. So, can you share a significant moment that reinforced your commitment to these dreams? Like, if there is, how has your life changed since you started this journey? And what do you find the most fulfilling about your various careers?
This is such a beautiful question, because it gives me an opportunity to kind of look back on those important moments, or, those memorable moments. See, if
Yeah.
I have to talk of a significant moment, it's very difficult in my journey, as even you have read about it. There's so much, that has happened in terms of the things I have done, the achievements, the love from people. But when I won the Karamveer Chakra award, so Karamveer Chakra is a global civilian honor, which is given by the International Confederation of NGOs in association with the United Nations to all the civilians who are creating an impact through their work. So I had received the silver medal in 2019, and that was like a really big surprise for me, because they have their own process of, researching who is doing what, and accordingly finalizing the names of the winners. So I think that moment, especially, I would say, was a huge um, turning point, validation. I think it was everything, actually, in a way, because it was a huge honor. So it kind of became a very a big milestone in my journey. And post that, I realized that even my career zoomed, because once you get recognized with an honor like that, more people know your work, more people respect you, for what you're doing. So it kind
More
of just
people are
changes
aware of
things.
you.
Yes, exactly. So I think that particular moment, I would say that has sort of been a defining moment. Um, the other thing which you asked about, I think the love from people truly makes this entire journey worth it. Like, for
That's very
example,
true.
my venture Beyond the Box, which you are aware of, as a part
Yes.
of which I mentor kids. I think the love that I get from kids, the relationships that I establish with them, when parents come and tell me that because of you, my child has probably become more confident, has become more articulate, I think all that itself just makes it worth it. Even the other things I do, like my dance related work or my NGO or even my writing work, because a lot of times I get mails and messages from my readers also. So, yeah, I think all of that impact, right? Basically, the small impact that we create in the lives of people, I think that itself is for me a factor which keeps me going.
So yeah, firstly, congrats for that award, ma'am. And
Thank you.
yeah, like as you said, the love from the people as well as achieving that award made you even more successful and even more known to various people across
Right.
India. So
Absolutely. Yes.
yes. So did your family and or friends support you in pursuing your dreams? And how did they react? Like, how did their reactions affect your journey or your career?
So in my case, I always say this, that a huge reason why I was able to do whatever I wanted to do, I was able to take chances, was because I had a huge backing from my family, like in the sense of my parents, my husband, and after the birth of my daughter, of course, even she is now like a very big cheerleader of mine. So I think it is so difficult to do something like this unless you really have the family support. Like, for example, my husband, in terms of, the support that you need at home, right? At times, like I have to go for an
Yes.
event or anything else. So he's always there. There's nothing like, I have to worry about what to plan or, what to do. Like who will take care of my daughter, those kind of things, because he's always very proactively doing everything at home. And he was, in fact, the one who also created the basic framework of my website, anupamadalmia.com, which has all my blogs today, blog
Yeah.
posts. So he was the one who created, because that time I was a new mother. I was not at all space, to really do all this. And when he told me you should try professional blogging, I was like, I mean, like at this stage, all I want is my sleep. But then he went ahead and created a basic framework, which then encouraged me to then start, blogging. So his role has been immense. Same with my parents, like even now, whenever they are here, like either with me or I go to their place, I don't have to worry about anything at all. They'll be like, you just focus on your work, do what you want to do. We are there to take care of, everything else. So yeah, the family support has been immense. And even my daughter, she's like not even 9 yet, but still she shows a lot of understanding for her age with respect to my work. And she's always very proud also that, oh wow, mama, you won this. Or, if she sees my name somewhere at an event listed as a speaker, and then she would be like, oh, that's your name. So she liked that. And somewhere she has taken that aspiration from me, which I'm very happy about, because she also thinks about her career and her aspirations, which I think it's very important, all the more for girls to, take that sort of inspiration.
Yes, ma'am. Like you said, a family is the main backbone. If like you want to pursue something, family support is the greatest. And it's so mature
Absolutely.
of your daughter to understand and support you
Yeah,
in this case. Especially like you mentioned,
absolutely.
not even being she's hardly 8 years, and yet she's so mature for her age. It's very amazing. And also
Yeah.
as
She's been very understanding.
and as of your parents and your husband too, like supporting when you even left Infosys, like as you previously mentioned, leaving a high position job is a very courageous thing. But then many people might have commented on you. However, the support from family and husband is what drove you through it.
Yeah. True. And I'll tell you one thing very practical, because I think your generation in general, they always are into practical stuff. So,
Yeah,
when anybody has to resign, the biggest tension always is the finances. That is something which holds a lot of people. In my case, my husband's unwavering support was there, that, you don't worry about the finances. I'm there to take care of that. So you go and do what you want to do. I think that itself was a very big support at that point. So, yeah, I think just to have somebody who ensures that I'm taking care of running the home so that you can, do what you want, I think that sort of support is really, really something which, gives you all the courage.
it's very important. So, as this topic came up, how much courage did you needed to like resign a well-positioned and a well-paid job at Infosys? Like, it must have required a lot of courage, but I would like to hear it in your
Yeah.
words.
Yeah, it does take courage, yeah, because see, we are all, people who, especially like I was saying, our times, a very good job was a very big deal. So, um, and, so it's like you're leaving something without really knowing what is next. Because I
Yeah.
didn't know, right, how the path will go. I mean, today, of course, I have been fortunate, that I've been so successful. But when I was resigning, it was all very, it was very uncertain. So, it was definitely not easy. But, I think what truly gave me the courage at that point, of course, apart from the support which I talked about, like internally, I think the thought that what will I lose? I think it's very important that when we are taking decisions, we do it more objectively.
Yes,
That,
very
okay,
true.
if I make this decision, what am I going to lose? And if I don't make this decision, what am I going to lose? And I have to make a choice between what is it that I'm okay to lose. You're getting me. So
Yeah.
that I think is something which everybody needs to understand, that we can never have it all. And we have to choose eventually based on what we really want. And always, see, I looked at it very practically. When I resigned, I was like, see, um, I have been a very good employee and I had a good relationship, with my managers. So I knew that if I come back after 2 years saying that, okay, my, the alternate part didn't work out,
Yeah.
I'll get the job again. But if I don't resign, I knew that I will lose that opportunity, to pursue something new, because, I was like, if not now, then when? I'll just keep postponing then. So I was like, I have to take a decision, high time. And that's how, I got the courage that it's okay, that okay, I'll try my best. And if things don't work out, it's not like it's not the end of the world. And I can always come back to, doing my job.
Yeah. That requires a lot of courage, especially like in my career. I'm uncertain about what I want to become, while all my relatives and people I know are like, what do you want to take, what career are you planning to take?
I
So
have to say that people have to stop asking kids this, because I personally feel this is a very unfair question to ask, because there are very few kids who would have, like, for example, my daughter, she has been very clear that I have to do only fashion designing and I have to get into that profession only. But like I said, that's like one of the very few kids, and also she's young, and the things can change, and it's
changes.
okay. So I think we really need to stop asking kids that what do you want to become. It's okay. Just ask them what they enjoy. What are your skills? Build skills. Find your interest. I think this age is mainly for that, and then of course you will find your calling someday.
I guess this point will be very valid for parents and people, like adults mainly.
Yeah.
So, have you faced any major setbacks or failures? And what valuable lessons have you learned from these experiences?
Hmm. See, like any journey, whether personal, professional, I think we all suffer setbacks. We all go through difficult times. And since we are particularly talking about career and profession,
Yeah.
I have been fortunate that my career graph has always been on the upward. I found a lot of love. I found success. A major reason I feel for that is because I went about my work with a lot of hard work. So there's a quote of mine which also had become viral once on social media, that the secret to success is in not wasting time to find the secret to success and focusing on the work to be done instead with, diligence. Because I think we spend too much time on, okay, this tactic or that tactic. There are really no secrets or tactics. It's all hard work and the right attitude towards work. I think attitude
Hmm.
makes all the difference. Attitude has made all the difference in my journey. But having said that, I think COVID time, like for everybody, was a huge setback, even professionally. Because see, till then I was doing my work in all the different things in a certain way, like dance workshops, dance classes, the workshops with children, classes with children. And then suddenly you feel that, okay, now what, like how do I adapt? So then came that phase of adapting. And then we came up with a lot of initiatives where where we could do it online. So apart from, of course, the regular classes, we started with a lot of interesting fun initiatives online, which kept the community engaged. So basically, I think what I used to kind of approach that setback was my creativity and the ability to reinvent ourselves. And I always say this, that every entrepreneur or every professional, the most important quality we all need to have today is the ability to reinvent ourselves, because the world is so dynamic. In fact, HRs also should stop asking the question, what do you want to be 10 years from now? I think that question is redundant in today's world. Like, no one knew something like a COVID will happen. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I shouldn't be the same person 10 years later. My ability to be creative, to, respond to a situation, to handle it, I think that matters the most. So yes, that's how I approach that situation.
Yes, ma'am, that's actually very true. And especially, I read about the quote that you mentioned. If teenagers and this upcoming generation understand that quote well, I guess there wouldn't be any, like, there would be struggles, but then they would have a clear focus and a clear goal, career goal, or any life goal.
Yeah, absolutely. They will. And, I think I won't say the problem, probably see it's just a change of generation. The teens, I feel, because this generation is born in a very different kind of era. I see or sense, because I interact with a lot of kids. I see that, they want shortcuts always. Like,
Yeah.
things should happen quick. What is a shortcut to do something? But let me tell all the kids, shortcuts are good when it enables your work. But if you're going to use shortcuts to make it the prime focus of what you want to achieve, that is not going to work. There is absolutely zero replacement for hard work, including AI. Trust me, AI is not going to make you, like, I mean, it is, how much ever we may talk about those things, ultimately your brains and how much you have worked on your skills, on your thinking process and everything else, that is always going to matter the most. So use shortcuts only to uh, fasten the process, or maybe to make the things more efficient, but never make it your
To
sole
obtain
point of
answers.
achieving a certain goal, or completing a task. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's very true. Like AI, now the chat GPT which is present, like half of the people I know, all of them use them. And that's mainly because it gives answers within minutes. So they don't need to think a lot. They don't need to put in efforts a lot. So
Yes, yes, yes.
that's like you said a shortcut is
Yeah.
never good.
I just want to take a quick moment since you brought up ChatGPT.
Mm.
So being a writer and being a creative writing mentor, often people are like, using ChatGPT for completing writing work. And,
Mm.
it takes me 5 seconds to identify whether something is written by ChatGPT or a human. So I want to tell everybody watching that, when it comes to especially creative stuff, ChatGPT can never replace the human mind, the human style, the human connect. Like I said, it takes me 5 seconds to quickly, even my students get surprised at times that, okay, Andy, how did you know we use ChatGPT for this? I said, your writing has absolutely no connect. So, use ChatGPT where it helps. Like, maybe if
Mm.
it helps in your research, for example, if you feel that getting ideas, researching, that becomes faster, great, use it for it. But don't make it your skill. It is not your skill. It is just an enabler. I think this demarcation, if people realize, we will understand how to use AI for the better rather than, becoming a slave of it.
Yeah, I guess this will be a valuable and an insightful point for teenagers and people out there. So,
Absolutely. And that's why I brought that up actually, because, I know that this will be seen by a lot of teens.
yeah. So, the foundation of your blogging journey during your bout with chickenpox is quite fascinating. So, can you elaborate how that experience fueled your creativity and encouraged you to pursue writing as a significant part of your life?
Mm. This is quite funny because, so I see, those days there was nothing like creative writing as a hobby. It was mostly like
Hmm.
either people used to go for dance, music, or, they would go for drawing classes and stuff. I'm talking about like when we were
Yeah,
young. So I never really thought of creative writing in that sense, that this is something probably which I can be good at as a, something additional to school, basically. So school, I used to like get good marks and all, but that's about it. Then what happened was when I was in the eighth grade, I was down with chickenpox. So nowadays you all have vaccines and stuff, but that time everybody used to get
wasn't
chickenpox
available.
once at least. Yeah. So I was down with chickenpox and I was getting like really bored at home. There was nothing to do. And one day on the whim, I wrote a poem titled Why, which was, that curious mind coming out about why this is
Huh.
like that and why that is like that. I still have that poem with me. So I wrote that and I just generally shared it with some people, and everybody was like, wow, you have a penchant for this, so you should write more. And that's why, just to kill time. So that time it started as a way to kill time and do something interesting and productive. So I wrote more poems, stories, or just random, those musings, small, small musings. I have that diary even today, which where in which I used to write all
That's
that.
very great.
And that's when I realized that this is something I love and this is something I'm good at. And but even then, that time I never thought of it as a profession because, like I said,
Hmm.
it was never a thing back then.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I started doing it as a hobby. So I used to write regularly. Then from then on, when I was in school, then once I went to college and job and online, you become very busy. So sort of writing took a little bit of a backseat when I was working with Infosys. Um, and then I took to it again after I became a mother because I just wrote a poem for my daughter after she was born. And when my husband saw that, he was like, "You're good at it. Why don't you try it professionally?" Because at that time, blogging was a burgeoning profession in India. It was
Yeah.
kind of coming up because today, of course, it is everywhere, but that time it was like kind of, just coming up. So he suggested that, this is something which is coming up and maybe you should have your blog and try. And that is when I was saying that I was a new mom and, I was like, who's going to do all this? And then he created, that website. He said, Chalo, I've created, the basic framework. So you at least start posting something. And yeah, that's how, that journey started. I started writing blogs. And the first blog post I wrote actually won, the top parenting article award on a certain platform. And but there was no looking back. Like, when the first write-up itself gets acknowledged, then
Hmm.
you feel encouraged. And yeah, that's how that
Inspired to
entire
write
journey.
more.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really great journey, like from chickenpox to the blogger that you are now. Yeah, that's really great. And as for the first poem, like you said, why? So I guess that also relates to the career, like for the lives of teenagers and the upcoming generation. Like they need to question more. They need to question more on
Yes.
what and especially why. Why is this happening? Why do I want to do this? What's the need of doing it, and how does it help me, or how does
Absolutely.
it improve me? I guess
Yes, yes.
those questions would be very important for any career.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I always hence even, say that even the adults should nurture and encourage this
Hmm.
curiosity in the kids, because that is truly what is going to lead them to, being so much more enriched in their lives.
So you have successfully ventured into various domains like being a blogger, author, entrepreneur, and an influencer. How do these different roles complement and influence each other in your creative journey?
I think sort of, I'll tell you how it happened. So basically, I started writing. And because I've also been a passionate dancer, I started dancing. And those things itself kind of became my entrepreneurial ventures. Like, so there's Beyond the Box, where I started mentoring kids, and we now run a platform. We have so many book projects and lots of other things that we've been doing. We've grown very fast. So there, and then there's Rhythms and Beats, which is my dance enterprise. And then there's Tingle Your Taste Buds, which is a cookery website I run along with my mother. And there's my NGO again. So they are all different things, but like you said, creativity, I think, is eventually always complementing each other in
Exactly.
ways that, uh, in fact, if you ask a mental health practitioner also, they will say always that if you're good at any creative activity, it always helps you in the others also. Like, so say if you, suppose, for example, I have, some sort of writer's block, maybe. A lot of times, dancing helps me clear it, for example, So eventually, all of this fuels the person in you, the creative person in you. So even though the tasks in itself are different, they will always overall, work towards your, like, betterment. And yeah, so that's what I feel. That's why I tell people it is always good to, and this is another thing which I've heard a lot, that people will be like, "Arey, my child is doing too many things. My child is focusing on one thing," and always say that that's not a bad thing. It's just that we have made focus so much about doing one thing. Focus is not about doing just one thing. Focus is about being in the moment fully. So if I'm dancing, I'm fully into that. Then later, when that's done, when I do something else, I'm fully into that. That is focus. It doesn't mean I have to dedicate my entire life to only one thing if, I don't want to. So that's why I say that, having multiple skills, multiple, things that you're exploring is always great, because these will always fuel each other instead of, uh, like
Yeah.
contrary to, what is the popular notion that if you're doing too many things, it will, bring down your productivity, or you won't be, it's actually not like that. So it's the other way around.
Hmm. That's very informative and very good advice. So, you have conducted sessions on blogging and entrepreneurship for women. What are some
Yeah.
common challenges that you have observed among aspiring women entrepreneurs, and how do you help them overcome these hurdles?
In a society like ours, which has been inherently very patriarchal, though today things are changing a lot, but earlier, of course, women were not earning members of the family. So
Yeah.
the biggest challenge which I see with most of the women entrepreneurs is the internal barriers of, oh my God, I have to look after my home, I have to look after my kid. Where is the time to, do anything for myself? And I don't blame the women for that, because that's the way our systems have been,
Society has
designed over
been.
these years. Yeah, so they are just, it's something which has to break from all angles. We just can't put the onus on the women that you don't, do. I mean, it's not really practically possible. So this is always the biggest challenge, that women entrepreneurs are very talented, they're very creative, but the biggest problem is that they don't find time because there is so much on their heads. So that is one thing.
Yeah.
And the second challenge, which again I've seen in a lot of them, is because traditionally women were not so much encouraged to pursue, their passions. They lack guidance. Like, they don't know, like they are like, okay, I'm good at this, but I really don't know what to do about it. That is where we come into picture. So basically, my NGO, Building Bridges Foundation, we have one-on-one worked with over 250 women and helped them establish their businesses. So we guide them. We, systematically tell them, okay, see, this is exactly what you go about. We have sessions with them. We do hand-holding, till they sort of become independent. We guide them on how they can use media for their growth, for example. So there are a lot of things, there are many aspects to this. So that is why, one of the things my NGO has been doing for, upskilling women, entrepreneurs is this, because I realized that they have never been really encouraged for this, so the confidence is not there. Once you start guiding them and they get some idea and you appreciate them, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, that is there. And time, for the time factor, I always tell women that nobody is coming and giving you a superwoman taj, crown. So
Yeah.
please don't try to be that. Your kids also can manage a few times without you. It's not that, you have to always like to be a good mother. I don't have to be with my child 24/7. It's okay. She is also an individual. She will understand, and she should understand, obviously, because everybody has their own careers also. So that is there. And this guilt which society induces, I think it's something like, the moment you realize that who am I trying to impress, you will let go of most of, this guilt. Secondly, I also want to talk to the, if, anybody watches this, maybe men or boys also of today, you have to take up equal responsibility of your homes. Only then can women also, pursue their professions comfortably. And you don't have to do it for them. You're not doing a favor on them. That is how a truly equal society is, where every individual is also independent, and every individual is contributing towards the home also in their own ways. In our generation, it's very difficult to change this now, because things have been just coming from the generations, and it's a lot of mindset
Yeah.
issues and stuff. But then I have hopes from your generation, and I really hope that from your generation this changes, and more women can truly focus on their careers fully, properly, without having to sacrifice because of something which was doable otherwise. And just because of, lack of support, they aren't able to do. So that sort of thing, I hope, that changes with your generation.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like a woman, it's not that they men won't support them, but it's just that they have too much going on. Like at least they feel that they have too much going on, especially a housewife. Like they
Yeah.
take care of everything, and a mother also. Like you being a mother and a housewife, I get, and also a entrepreneur, blogger, influencer, dancer. I guess you would understand all these. So yeah,
Yes, it
it's a
see, it
very
is difficult, no doubt. Again, the way our society is and all the structures, the way it is, we are still not having a overall system which is very friendly for mothers to pursue,
mm,
really careers which demand their time. It is difficult, but then it is, see, that is what, see, somewhere we have to start making those changes. No one is saying it will happen perfectly. Even today, sometimes I do have to let go of few things, which is, okay. Ultimately, I'm still able to do a lot. And I think for me, I'll be very honest, I have shed all my motherhood guilt, this guilt, that guilt long back. And I realized that is, the best gift I have given to myself, because again, I'm not here to impress anybody else. My job is just to build a wonderful bond with my kid and raise her well. And for that, I will do it my way. Nobody else can come and tell me how that is to be done. Only my daughter is probably the one who can decide whether I'm a good mother or not. Nobody else gets the right to do that. She just said you are.
that's true.
So I got my,
Response.
certificate from where it matters. So yeah, I want all moms to think like that.
Yeah. So I
So
guess
yeah.
it's really important and it's very valuable too. Like, I don't think you need to make an impression to anyone. Like, a woman, a married housewife, can pursue dreams, can pursue any like paths which are uncertain to, like being an
Absolutely.
author or a
Yes.
blogger.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. The best thing is today, because of the digital world, all such women, who are now maybe, wanting to pursue something, there are so many avenues, you just have to be there online, join communities, connect with the right people. Like a lot of women come to me, for example, for my NGO, and they get to know about it online. So, you have a vast like domain there. You can just go out there and explore so much. There are women who are such wonderful creators, for example. They are creating such great content from home, and they are now even earning from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it is, just have faith in yourself, and you can do anything. Truly.
Yes, ma'am. That's very good piece of advice. So let's move on to the next question. So, how do you manage to juggle these careers and make decisions about what to prioritize, especially being a mother of an 8-year-old?
Yeah, so the decision to how to, like prioritize and all of that, it just comes from what you really want from each of the paths or
Careers.
if somebody's into say various careers. So because everybody might have a different sort of goal for themselves or what they want out of
Mm.
it. Like for example, as a blogger, I have never participated in any blogging challenges, which are great. But that is just not something I felt I was able to take time for, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, see, this is the time I have, and in that these are the things I really want to do. So I think all those answers eventually come from within, that what you really want, and not really get affected by the noise around, that okay, this person is doing this and that is doing that, the FOMO, JOMO and everything. I am somebody who is so focused in my own journey and life that I don't even realize what somebody else is doing. So I just take the inspiration from around, and yes, that's it. That's about it. So I think prioritization is key, and sticking by those priorities are more important. I think that is where a lot of people also falter, that they prioritize, but then they're not able to stick by it. Then eventually they're like, "Arey, but I want this also," or so no,
They
you have to
fail to
stand by
notice.
them. Absolutely. So if you know that this is how I want to allocate my day, like the different hours in a day, that's it. Then there's no point regretting over something else. So don't like kind of go into that mode of, array, I'm missing out on this. And it's okay. That's what you want and you've chosen for yourself. So I think all my priorities and the planning, the scheduling of all that different things that I do, they just come from a place of what really interests me or what keeps me excited. So accordingly, then I make a proper plan. And yes, I cannot survive without my planner and diaries, because when you are into so many things, it is so important to have a very, like
Clear
a
plan.
very clear, schedule, that okay, this day this is to be done, this day this is to be wrapped up, and so that I also have some sort of vision of how my week is going to be. So yes, I rely a lot on using diaries and planners for ensuring that my scheduling is going in the right direction.
So yeah, I guess it's true. Like sometimes when you have so many things and you want to achieve these things, you need to leave a few behind. Like I wouldn't say leave it, but then just for that moment, you need to know what to prioritize more and what you need to spend time more, like time much more at rather than something which can be done later or can be done in a few minutes.
Yes, yes.
So, finally, one last question. This would be like really important for this upcoming generations. So, what advice would you give to others, especially young adults or young teenagers who want to pursue an unconventional dream, but then are unsure to take a step because of the uncertainties present in the field, like from wildlife photographer to author and even influencer? From a sports player perspective too, there are many uncertainties, but when people are passionate, only when people are passionate they tend to take it, while most of them fear the future and step back. So what advice would you give to them?
I think this generation doesn't like advices, so probably I'll not give a lot of advice, so to say, but I can probably give a sort of, maybe uh, the approach, or, the guidance that may work for them. So, whenever you have aspirations for, like you said, an unconventional career path, the first and most important thing is, you know, spend some time with yourself to understand, why do I want this career path? Do I really have passion for it? Or is it just that, I read somewhere that somebody is doing good, and, like I'm very attracted by this? Or, I mean, have you truly researched what that profession entails? I think that is always the first step, because a lot of times, things look very attractive on the face of it. Like even if people see my social media, they will feel that, oh, she's having a very attractive kind of a lifestyle and all, but there is so much else
Hard
that
work
goes
behind
behind
it.
it. So yes, so first step is always awareness, and that will come from research, that find out truly what that profession entails, so that your mind is also mentally prepared for the challenges, that okay, this is what happens, and yeah, I have to be okay with it, or maybe this is how I have to tackle it. So that is the first step always. And post that, I think one more thing what is very important is to Find the right mentor. I think that can, especially because in today's time, you all have the scope of finding a mentor. Like I said,
Yeah.
in my time, we had that luxury, but then now you have that sort of exposure. So, if possible, in your whatever thing you're interested in, if you could find a right mentor, because see, like I am a creative writing mentor to many kids, and I know
Yeah.
that some of them who really wanted to pursue this as a career, they do take a lot of advice from me, learnings from me, to find connections, to know about approach. So, whatever profession it is, if you can find the right mentor, I think it can be a great plus point in the journey because they will be able to, kind of guide you through something which not everybody is aware of.
Yeah, I guess it's really true. Like many people just see what's outside, like a career. If suppose say an author, they just see that they become successful. If you like, if one book becomes a hit, it's just like it's all hits, or they just expect it to be successful. But then they don't really know what's the process. How do you become an author, and what's the struggles mainly behind it? So
Yes.
it's like they just want they don't really research a lot. Like taking myself as an example, I used to want to become so many, like till now I had quite a few careers in my mind, and all those were mainly uh, because of its like the outer look of it. I hadn't researched much until like last year, where I realized that careers actually are very important, like very important and changing milestones in life. uh, so you need to know more about it in order to pursue it, especially, and follow your passion. And I guess that's really true in this coming generation.
Right, right.
So, yes, ma'am. So that wraps our discussion. It was a wonderful conversation. Now I'm confident that my podcast audience will thoroughly enjoy hearing about your experiences, your insights. And once again, I want to express my sincere gratitude for taking the time to join us. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you. Take care and all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.